thinking about what I'd say today, and I was really impressed at the amount of, academic diversity. This was, the Bible Institute of Los Angeles. It was a little school, and look at how it's grown. You have 40 majors. There are 80 concentrations. This is a place where a lot of deep thinking goes on. It's full, it's intense, it's like a beehive. It's full of activity, a lot of deep thought going on all the time. And yet I suspect that some of you, maybe just occasionally, let go of all this rigorous academic thinking and spend a little time thinking about the opposite sex. I wanted to talk with you about that today, about oppositeness, what it means, why God arranged it this way, why this oppositeness delights us so much. I should say up front that I know there are people who are not attracted to the opposite sex, and I'm just not thinking about that right now. At present, I'm just going to be addressing kind of the majority pattern, which is the opposites seek each other. One of the curious things about this oppositeness is that in most respects, we aren't opposite. We aren't opposite at all. The male body, the female body is like 95% alike. We have 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 pancreas, 10 fingernails. All of these things we share in common. Our uniformity is much more evident than our diversity. But from the very beginning of a life, we are so fascinated with those differences. When a baby is born, the first thing everybody wants to know is it a girl or is it a boy? This is the top information we need. Those lumpy, indistinguishable newborns, you couldn't tell at a newborn at first glance if it's wearing a diaper, whether it's a boy or a girl. But we push that distinction. We dress the little girls in frilly pink, we dress the little boys in blue, talk about how manly this little 7-pound baby boy is. I think a lot of this is pretty much just in our heads. We're kind of reading it onto the situation. The mystery is why it makes us so happy, why we enjoy this make-believe of exaggerating the differences so much. Now, when I was in college, this was back around the Pleistocene era, I would say, back in the 1970s. I was the first feminist on my campus at the University of South Carolina. And at the time, we called this the Women's Liberation Movement. In my case, it pretty much took the place of a religion. That is, I had rejected my Christian belief about the time I was 14, had a dramatic, miraculous conversion, confronted with Jesus Christ when I was 21. But in those in-between years, feminism was my religion. We had our consciousness-raising groups that were sort of like chapel. We had our particular, almost like a tonsure and a habit in terms of the way that we groomed ourselves and the clothes that we wore. We had our own language. We had our own view of history. What is history all about? It's all sexism. That's all it is. So it was almost like a belief system that we bought into. And at that time, I saw the effects of what I call gender programming as negative in every way. My friends and I held to the opposite extreme. We claimed that there were no significant differences between men and women. And if anybody said that there were, that was oppression. So we were very quick to jump on that. I had to admit, to be honest about this, I wasn't as committed to gender uniformity as I claimed to be, because anytime there was a disagreement, I came down on the women's side. My view was that men and women are absolutely identical. They're absolutely alike, except women are better. I think to some extent, kind of exaggerating womanhood and the wonder of womanhood might have been justified at that time. If you look at movies from the mid-century, or you look at TV shows from the 1960s, it's not great the way women are depicted. They are often shown as stupid. I remember overhearing my kids watching a rerun of Mr. Ed once, and the whole theme of the half hour was, Are wives smart enough to be allowed to handle the checkbook? Are we going to dare to let wives be co-signers on a checking account? Women were just presented as a cute but stupid and particularly disturbing theme that you'll see in movies from the 19-teens on till maybe 1980, is that adultery for men is depicted as kind of cute. It's like boys will be boys. And the wives who just look the other way, they are mature, they are wise. So the whole culture is being indoctrinated with this adultery is okay message. There were a lot of things that really were unjust to women at the time. Things are a great deal better now. We didn't win every battle. Big thing that we early feminists emphasized was that people are using women's bodies in advertising and in entertainment in ways that are completely irrelevant. They're just trading on sex appeal, and this is wrong. We have to stop it. Well, that was one of the battles we lost, as I think you can tell. I think, though, in one respect, this whole push to rebalance it and to be more fair to women went too far. And that was in the matter of putting men down. That process of taking men down included a lot of blame, a lot of ridicule. Men are usually pretty good sports about that. They take teasing, mocking, I think a lot better than women do in general. But if that negative image takes over, and there are no images of what a good man might be, then men can get kind of lost. In entertainment today, men are depicted as childish, stupid, lovable goofs, just interested in having fun, not able to be responsible. Women are never depicted that way. Women are shown as unrealistically stronger and braver than men are. So many recent movies, comedies, have been about a full-grown man who just can't grow up. And everybody laughs at that because it is funny, but when the movie's over, if the men don't have a positive role model to follow, they're at a loss. More seriously, I was invited to speak at a prep school, preparatory high school commencement one time. And when I arrived, there was a lot of uproar on campus because one of the students, a boy, had attempted suicide that day. And the dean said to me, if there's a problem among the students, it'll be one of the boys. The girls do fine, he said. I think this is partly because there's been such a go girls emphasis in the last few decades. As I sat there waiting to speak and saw the ceremony go on, over and over, the people who were coming up to receive awards, the valedictorian, the salutatorian, they were all girls, and they were just shining. Meanwhile, the boys, they finish, they go back to their rooms, they watch Knocked Up, they watch Failure to Launch, they watch these movies that show that men are really just little boys, and learn all over again how pointless and infantile they are. I think that this is not healthy for men, and it's not healthy for women either. When there's no cultural story of what a good man is like, women lose as well. It's just an unalterable fact that men are always going to be bigger and stronger than women are. That's not going to change. It's essential that men be taught from the very start not to use this greater strength to take advantage of women or to overpower them. It's not right to take advantage of a woman physically, not right to beat her up just because you can. All those little courtesies that used to be taught to little boys, that you let ladies go first, you open the door for her. I hated all that when I was in college. I was completely opposed to it. But now I see the wisdom in it, that in teaching boys before they gain their greater strength, teaching them that they should respect women and they should protect women and they should treat women gently. This I saw as gender stereotyping. Now I think it does women a great service. It's like an insurance policy that is written toward the future in the woman's favor. Because there are plenty of cultures where women are not respected, and we know how that turns out. And there are plenty of men, there's just always going to be bad men. So we need good men. A few years back, there was a movie called Saving Private Ryan. Probably all y'all seen it at one point or another. It was a huge hit. It was set in World War II. And the theme of it, to save Private Ryan, was that there was this one private somewhere in World War II. They had to find him. They had to get him out of the battle scene and protect him and save his life. Well, that's how anybody would describe the plot. But when you see it, it's actually a little different from that. The reason they want to save his life is he's not any more precious than any other private who's fighting. But it was his mother. It was that his mother had lost all her sons in the war. This was her last surviving son. And so they were going to all this trouble to find him and to get him to safety, so her heart wouldn't be completely broken. It was assumed by everybody in this story that that was justified. It was assumed by the audience that immediately people would know why that was worth doing. Isn't it amazing that men will die, not just to protect a woman, but to keep a woman they'll never meet from terrible grief? You know, it wasn't to save her life, it was to save her broken heart. Women wouldn't do that. Women are not going to give their lives to protect the father of somebody they never met. There's something wonderful about it. This is a big gift that one gender can give to the other, and it's going to work out to women's advantage in the long run. In June, I expect my 13th grandchild. 6 boys, 7 girls. This latest one will be the girl, and she will, break the balance. As determined as I was in college that gender differences are meaningless, I have to admit that over the years, looking at these little girls growing up, some of those differences and preferences appear so early that they sure look like they are inborn. Little toddler girls take to those Disney princesses like ducks to water. They love those princesses, and it seems like they're born that way. If you kept them out of the house, they would see them at the store. They would see them at a friend's house, and then the nonstop beseeching would go into play. Boys don't pretend to be Disney princes, do they? They want to be more active. They want to do those, major muscle group things and be noisy. And that actually looks like more fun when you think about it. Why do little girls cling to this princess identity so ardently when princesses actually don't do anything? I came up with a theory about that. I think women are oriented toward finding someone who will treat them like a princess, probably for reasons of ancient survival. If you think about it, think about how vulnerable a pregnant woman is. She's big, she's heavy, she moves slowly. When the cavemen and the cavewomen were trooping by, the saber-toothed tiger would take off after the pregnant woman. She was going to be easy to catch, easy to bring down. Remember, Jesus said in the last times, he says, woe to those who bear children or nurse babies in those days. A pregnant woman, a nursing mother, is just very vulnerable physically. My theory about the princesses is that girls are born with a primal impulse to find a bodyguard. Women are always going to be weaker than men. And to fight off a bad man, you've got to have a good man. How do you know that this particular bodyguard is going to stick by you and not run away when danger comes? You know that if he adores you, if he treats you like a princess, if he's focused just on you and no one else, permanently bound to you by his own strong emotions. That would be a guy you can trust. So I think little girls are sort of set up this way to look for the guy that will adore her. And they like to practice it. They like to put on the frilly dresses and sit on a cushion and think about how beautiful they are. One of my granddaughters had somebody given her a plastic, magic wand. And I overheard her, she was playing with a friend, and the friend said, I'm going to touch you with this magic wand and you will turn into a fairy. And Hannah said, oh, I tried that, it doesn't work. So the girls, they're not looking for a story where there's a whole lot of princesses. They want to be the one and only. They want to be safe, they want to be adored, they want to be beautiful. Boys aren't like that. They don't want to dress up like Prince Charming. I don't know if there's such a thing as a Prince Charming costume, may not even exist. Experience shows that if you forbid boys all weapon toys, they will get a stick and they will treat the stick as if it is a gun. Little boys want to do loud, explosively loud things, major muscle group things. They want to be jumping off stuff, jumping on each other. When boys play, there's always a lot of ruckus and usually a few bruises at the end of it. My son David, I could hear him. He was playing with one of his little friends, Matthew, and they both were crying. So I went over to them. I said, "What happened?" And they said, "Well," David said, "I hit him and he hit me." I said, "Why did you do that?" He said, "We were playing daddy." So I guess the fantasy of being a grown-up man is you get to be noisy and engage and wrestle and all those things. And hitting each other maybe isn't such a bad part of it. There's something that is mysterious about all this. If you do nothing to encourage a little boy, they're going to do all those dramatic, loud things. If you do nothing to encourage, if you try to discourage the princesses, you'll get nowhere because the little girls love them so much. This is mysterious, and it is deeply entrenched. It seems like it's there at birth, and it just isn't susceptible to change. Why did God do this? Why did he make us mostly alike physically, but different in these really interesting ways? A friend of mine once told me, the problem with same-sex marriage is it would be too easy. She said you would be married to somebody who is just like you, and she would understand you. She said, if I was married to a woman, I would weigh 40 pounds more than I do today. Because if I said, I feel so fat, I feel terrible, you know, a woman who is my spouse would say, oh, you poor dear, you're so sad, I want you to feel better, have some ice cream. I'd be 40 pounds heavier. She said, my husband is more likely to say, what, are you eating again? You get that? I have a pretty much unlimited, treasury of stories I could tell. The little cousins, Hannah and David, were playing together. My husband walked past, saw them on the floor. They had like little trucks and dolls and things. And he said, what are you playing? And Hannah said, we're playing Going to a Wedding. And David said, we're playing Riding in a Truck. It kind of summarizes the situation for most of your lives, I think. Well, I started out this morning observing that men and women are mostly alike physically. But for some mysterious reason, we really like to think about the differences. We really like to exaggerate the differences. We like to dress in ways that highlight the differences. We like to tell jokes about the differences. What does the difference mean? Why did God make us this way that we delight so much? Well, the simple truth, the obvious truth, is that God made two different sexes so that we could make babies. This was his plan for the continuation of the human race. Every single one of you is a descendant of a long line of people who successfully had babies. You're going to be very good at this one day because it's in your blood. Babies mean life. Babies are how life goes on. Every person is the result of this long, impossible to imagine, long line, stretching back to the dawn of human history. A line of people, 2 by 2, two opposite people, 2 by 2, over and over, starting a new life. When you think about that, it makes people smile. This is good news. Babies are good news. Babies mean life. Literally, babies are how life goes on. We love the fact that there are differences between the sexes, I believe, because we know that difference is where new life comes from. The fact that we come in two models, male and female, enables ordinary human beings to do the most extraordinary and the most miraculous thing. We can create new life. This miracle, this honor, is held in common by the whole human family. Even those who have not had babies or won't have babies, They participate in that because our body differences, the bodies that we bear, show that we are members in this timeless mystery. Each of us, simply by being female or male, represents that joyous, that life-giving reality in all its ancient and vital splendor. You wear that in your body. You represent the entire human race of male or female. You are part of that mystery that God designed. There's an old joke that goes, the war between the sexes. That was a big phrase in the early feminist days, the war between the sexes. There was an old joke, there will never be a victory in the war between the sexes because there's just too much fraternizing with the enemy. Oh, we can give thanks for that. The fact that there are two sexes, the fact that we come in two different kinds, is the best and the most joyous news that there is. It's how we partner with God in bringing new life into the world.
We hope you enjoyed this message. Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Learn more at biola.edu.